But
Yeah,
you know what
right.
they say. You know what they say. Oh, looks like
we
we're
get
starting.
underway now.
All right, let's hope to see a good see what we can see here in boarding section.
Yeah, of course. As we say, Dwarf new on the scene in terms of relativity to his fellow contestants in this tournament. One of the newest runners of the entire thing. So a few things that we may see from him that we're not going to quite see some of the higher level runners do. Perhaps, as I've sort of said in other races, we'll see a little bit of a longer look at some of the stages if he opts not to take some of the skips. But he has been steadily improving, so I'm sure we will see plenty of attempts at some of the more difficult things as well, as we see both runners come out of boarding section here nice enough. Just making their way through to this, coming up on City Escape skip. I'm interested to see how this will play out.
Oh, just barely misses the inputs for
not working out there.
Vector. Also, Vector having a little bit of execution problems, but overall having good movement on this downhill. Meanwhile, Dwarf having a bit of trouble, but is still getting by just fine.
Yeah, not doing too bad either, runner, just yet. We didn't see Dwarf even attempt to go for C skip, actually. Vector at least did take a single shot at it, but upon failing, just getting up on his way.
Yeah, pretty good movement. I hate that ramp up there. I can never get it, but looks like Dwarf actually getting that ramp just fine. Oh no! Oh, this is really bad.
Vector would have wanted.
Oh
the worst
no!
thing for any runner at Death and City Escape skip. But maybe a blessing in disguise here.
No way!
Vector,
oh my god!
Maybe it was part of the plan all along.
What
as he launches his way through to C skip, taking that little bit of time loss. That's quite the recovery.
Yeah, we call that the Ethmar 1, dying to that that pit before actual Ethmar. Oh, this is...
Well, here's the actual Ethmar.
Oh, he's good, he's good, he's good.
On our hands.
Yeah, Dwarf getting an early lead here, for sure.
Very, very early, but there we go. Vector, that's some fortitude from him to take that death. D-skip. Great stuff from him. And he's only going to be narrowly behind, despite taking what could have been a really, really fatal death.
It's like 5 seconds, 5 or so seconds. Now, into the hardest boss of the game here.
You would say so, really?
Nah, I'm just joking. I'm saying.
It's true. Yeah, but no, Bigfoot is a place that things can go wrong in. But if you're good enough, then you can pull it off fairly easily. But go ahead there, sorry.
Yeah, someone add super bounces this boss, then we're talking. But Dwarf loading in here. Let's see if it goes through top or bottom box. Not really sure. Oh, back box it is.
Yeah, back box it will be. The safer method for a lot of newer runners I see go for back box strats.
Vector going for top box.
That'll get him through the fight a lot quicker. So Dwarf will lose a little bit of his advantage here, providing Vector lands all these hits, which he does. This
is actually like that's cutting the lead down a significant amount actually. So
it's gonna be really interesting to see just how long Dwarf can hold out for. Obviously, the longer the better for him. He's opting to take holding a box here.
Get the free piece.
Falls down.
Oh well, they both get free pieces. That's interesting, but the difference is Vector gets a vastly better one, but Vector goes the wrong direction.
Didn't look like he knew where it was. I think he was thinking it was the other pillar piece, one which can be very unfortunate if you do get it. Both runners onto piece 3 now, near the 6 pillars for Vector. What's it going to be?
And that's not as good.
Piece 3 for Dwarf. So yeah, Vector does take the lead now.
Yeah, Vector getting kind of rough RNG, but Dwarf maybe not having the best of time there in Wild Canyon. Like that free pre-scrub is kind of rough, but not out of this yet though.
No, not at all. Not by a long way. We're very early in the race here. And this is definitely the hardest boss in the game.
Yeah, this is a bit of an obligatory auto-scroller.
No, in all seriousness, probably the safest split. Very rare you see any runner lose a significant amount of time here, if very rarely any. See, that's the level of 13.
Could give Dwarf Young 13. Whoa! Oh, we're doing this.
Interesting there from Dwarf.
Because
Going for the jumps over the bullets.
Yeah, I've seen that before, but again, being to prison lane here, also know from experience things can go bad and die here. But Vector, no,
Just getting slightly pushed out there. Could have gone from bad to worse there.
All right, I'm gonna stop talking. But
Had a little bit of a freeze on Vector's end there. Hopefully that's no major technical troubles. We're seeing Dwarf close in on where he was now. Looks like we're just about getting Vector back.
Yeah, Dwarf's getting like comparatively better movement here, I want to say. So
yeah, you know, like I sort of said, I think perhaps as we see the race go on, we'll see those difficulties show up for Dwarf. I know he struggled in some late game stages in his previous matches. We do still have a frozen Vector here, though. I'm just wondering what's going on there. If we're trying to fix that.
I'm definitely in the wrong Discord, but getting a mid 40 elevator, not the worst thing you can ask for. Looks like we got the stream feedback, which is great news.
It looks like he's coming up fairly comfortably here on first fence up there, so a little bit behind on Vector's feed now. I'm not quite sure what actually went wrong there, whether that was just a stream issue or not. But, but it shouldn't matter too much.
I will say they got similar elevator times for sure. I did peep that. Dwarf gonna like that hop. Pretty difficult. Oh, yep, not getting shot here. Definitely jumping around here. So
definitely jumping around for sure. Landing some nice shots as well. Opting not to take the shot through that left wall there, which can snipe that enemy a bit earlier. But gradually making his way through prison lane. Nicely.
Gets that jump. Barely misses, but yeah, definitely lined up for this 2-minute time. Vector's looking to get a 140 here, but
of course. Probably going to be a little bit higher than that, I would imagine. Mid 140 range, if I had to guess. Fails the second fence hop, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, that can be that could be a little big here, because every second is counting, especially this early on to the race. But because of that lead in Wild Canyon, definitely does pull ahead by a good 10 seconds here.
Yeah, and we're seeing both runners kind of loading into the same split at the same time here, which is good to see. A little bit of sync back up. The thing to note, of course, is that even with that stream on Vector's end, it may seem as if he is currently behind in terms of real time, but actually, you've probably been noticing plenty if you've been a regular viewer of the tournament so far. These runs are timed with a variant of in-game time, which sees the actual time in the stage as well as pausing and menuing at get time. So that's important to note, that the important thing is the timer underneath each runner's screen. That is going to be the final determining factor in who wins this race. So Vector will actually be slightly ahead here, despite appearing not to be.
Exactly. How does that happen?
Vector is living life on the edge here. Some very narrow messes here. There's one just in prison lane which caught you off guard, and that death in city escape. He's gonna want to cut that out if he's gonna want to take this race. The less of that, the better for him.
Yeah. The more
he's not gonna go for pulley skip.
All right. Oh, here the rocket strikes again.
Gets up there. No, he doesn't. How on earth did that happen?
I didn't know where he
went. All the way to that platform.
I did not know where he went, to be honest with you. Now, Vector pulling up. Pulls up to the rocket. Oh, okay. This should be fine.
Gets up there
totally fine. And that should save some time on Dwarfs. So.
Well, we may not want to speak too soon, because we've seen a few runners fail this final section here and lose a big chunk of time. Dwarf playing it safe, though. Opting to go over the all the way through the loop and take the ramp as well. Getting out with a 7:17 on his clock. And Vector will hopefully also see him just make his way towards the goal ring.
That was a bit scary.
Yeah, more narrow margins for Vector. I think he was going to be fine there.
It was a bit scary. Now, Vector getting a clean 17-second lead definitely puts the lighter under Dwarf.
Quite right. Obviously, into the Faker cutscene now, so a good moment just to catch our breath, really, because it's been quite an exhilarating race so far. What are your thoughts so far, really? Because there's been a lot of highlights.
Definitely, like I said before, I mean, Dwarf, if Vector just plays this super consistently without taking a lot of risks, Vector can just win this. Dwarf, on the other hand, all right, let's see how this shadow goes. A little more risky. Gets a high jump.
Gets through it.
All right.
13-second time.
Like you take a 13.
Comes up and down.
It's not an
you
11.
You will take a 13. I feel like anything below 15. Oh, interesting decision to pause there from Vector.
Yeah, you got to wonder if the nerves are getting to him, especially with those mistakes in the previous stages. Losing a bit of time, but still squarely ahead. So
stays in the lead, but Dwarf just cutting that time gap between the two down ever so slightly.
Yeah,
I've got to give massive props to Dwarf for staying in this. Obviously, we are still early in the race, but he's showing himself very well so far.
Dwarf is, and there is a silver lining here for Dwarf. I know, I reach out to Vector. I don't believe Vector goes for wall run at the very least, or at least
I don't believe Dwarf does either. But yeah, I know what you're saying in the sense where it means that Dwarf doesn't have to fear that big potential chunk of time save for his opponent.
Yes, Dwarf can just focus on just playing cool here. Hopefully skipping this loop. Or just taking it.
Not going to do that. Playing it safe. I saw Vector get a little bit of troubles there also missing the rail there, which would have put him nicely towards the spring. So just a few little tiny bits of execution here, which Vector will not be the thing that costs him as this race goes on.
Yep, Vector. Wait. Yep. That's a standard. That's a standard.
He's fine though.
Okay.
And doesn't go for mini wall run as we see Dwarf completely going through the entire loop there. Obviously, we see a lot of runners go for the skip just to simply go through the underside of the other side. Oh, Vector launching into the air there.
Playing with my heart here. All right, hit that enemy.
We'll see now if what you said rings true. He is not going to go for wall run. Quite correct.
Yup.
So we see Dwarf come up on Bungie.
Bungie looking good. Okay, good.
Just about. The camera stuck around there for a little while, didn't it?
Yeah.
Another instance of Dwarf here taking the entirety of a loop. There are these big time saves for Dwarf if he goes about learning them, which I think are really going to help him out in future runs. As we see Vector also hit Bungie skip quite well, but this is just one of them. You see, so Vector just having that bit more knowledge, that bit more experience within these stages, and knowing the things he can do, which are risk-free and not going to cost him, only going to help him out in opening up that gap between him and Dwarf, which is looking like it's going to be around about 19 seconds.
19-second lead here. Now, going into Pumpkin Hill is where I think...
Interesting to see how RNG deals with this.
Yeah, this is sort of like a final exam, right? If Dwarf knows all of his pieces and knows where things are, that'll be the greatest asset in here. Vector, again, has been... Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say that one of Dwarf's...
we know what this is.
One for Dwarf.
But does Dwarf...
One piece which you can get.
Okay.
Well, one of Dwarf's specialties is actually... he has played a lot of Knuckles, so his knowledge should be serviceable and help him out with staying in this race. Twin Huts there, piece one for Vector.
Yeah, and this is looking really good for Dwarf. As long as it's
solid piece two. And what will it be?
And meanwhile,
we've seen that piece a lot.
Yeah,
really
Vector,
unfortunate.
This is gonna cost Vector. I think he's just maybe having a brain fart here. Oof.
Yeah, perhaps just a little bit of rust sinking in.
And also, I mean, this is a 43 time. Like, this isn't the worst. And Vector's already at a 38 right now. Yeah,
Vector needs to get moving quickly if he's going to keep this lead.
Yeah, Dwarf's catching up. And meanwhile, can he find... He's not... Yeah, okay, good. He knows where this Scarecrow's house is, so...
Looks like he knows where to go. Doesn't seem to know where the hint monitor is. It's on the other side. That's where you want to go.
And this is the worst. This is the worst possible
big
scenario.
moment here.
This is a big moment.
It's not that one. And Vector has to make his way all the way over to church now.
Yeah,
this is problematic here for Vector.
Yeah, this would have been a high 40 anyway, so...
Yeah, as we see, an upset is on the cards here. That Knuckles knowledge really helping out Dwarf. Even with that rough piece free.
Yeah. Doesn't dig in the right spot. Meanwhile, because right now...
So...
Yeah, so let me think. Probably like a good 10 to 20 second lead, actually, which is pretty surprising, if not more than that.
Yeah, and that is massive considering where we are in the run. You know, obviously it's not quite early days anymore. We've still got a long way to go, but for Dwarf to be ahead at this point is a hugely respectable thing for him.
Yeah, so right now, all things may have to come to an end. Dwarf is on 1 to 2nd cycle, misses weight hop.
So looking like he's having trouble with those pause hovers specifically.
Yeah, Morty's gonna fall off of these canisters, whatever you call them here. But it's a 1 minute check or so. Can Vector get this weight hop? That's the main thing here.
We'll have a look. Obviously, the more small mistakes for Vector, the better for Dwarf. But we'll see as he races towards this weight hop now, rather. Gets it cleanly. Well executed.
Weight hop. Alright. Now, Dwarf running out of health. This could be huge, but... Oh, and hovers there. Well,
getting through quite nicely. He's not going to get a super favorable cycle, but he doesn't want to get Walk of Shame here. Gets onto that weight hop. I think he's just going to let himself take all the time he needs to get that height.
Yeah.
And just make his way up these pillars.
Exactly, and the other thing is, Vector's actually on 0 cycle pace, and that could actually just make up all the time.
It's a massive amount of time save, especially if we see somebody like Dwarf here missing weight hop, as Vector triggers that weight to fall down.
Yeah,
on good pace here as well. It's going to be quite tight though.
It's going to be fast. No, he goes for half cycle.
Doesn't opt for it, playing it safe. So we'll see now just how this finishes up, because it's looking like, Vector may just have about closed the gap.
Yeah, definitely trading leads like anything here. But we gotta see still. So.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, you know. I was talking to you and a couple others before this race about the fact that both of these runners off 0 and 4. So, by all accounts and purposes, this race doesn't seem to have any massive circumstance for the remainder of the tournament, or just the tournament in general. But that doesn't mean it won't be a great race to watch, because we're seeing both runners put on a show.
Exactly, like one of these guys here, they put a wind under their belts.
And we see that better performance in Prison Lane just really help out Vector. He retakes the lead. Strong showing.
Yeah. So, going into Aquatic Mine, I mean, let's see any free pieces. No
another
free
opportunity, maybe. Yeah, no free pieces in sight, but will there be a ping? No ping.
No ping. Alright, but now we do get a ping, though.
I can't make out any free pieces there.
Probably something at the bottom.
This is probably going to be another chance for Dwarf to maybe flex that Knuckles knowledge that we see. There's a free piece. And it's going to be corner of the tracks. This is a great looking set.
This is good. Going somewhere here.
No luck on the first load in for Vector. He gets the ping second try, just like Dwarf did, though.
Alright, not checking for free pieces. This is good. This is really good for Dwarf. If it can, is this going to be in 2 spots?
You're actually thinking of under. I can't remember what the piece is, but this is simply in the corner, so Dwarf can comfortably make his way over into that central area and just dig that piece. Coming out with a 42 plus the change of that reset, but not a lot of difference there, and we'll see just how well Vector plays his hand here.
Getting near the wall as a free piece. Totally forgetting where they're getting that piece right there. On the tracks, I believe it is.
Water level 2 height.
Yeah. So what happened with Vector was, definitely searching for free pieces in the above room, but didn't pan out. Getting a worse
Gets
time.
the sign clip. But this means that once again, Dwarf is in front. it's these knuckle stages that are really keeping him in this and looking very, very good.
Yeah, this is a very close race right now. Going into the kart section here.
And I'd be surprised, very surprised, in fact, if Dwarf is not on PB pace. Still, as I say, a long way to go, but we're about halfway, in fact. So great to see this, that we've got such a great race on our hands.
That is right.
As we see, obviously Route 101 probably won't be a massive amount of variation. We're seeing Dwarf here taking an interesting looking ring route. Not quite the orthodox method that we usually see. Probably just looking to grab what rings he can and gradually boost his way through the stage. But he's taking his time on these boosts, actually. As we'll see, perhaps Vector is a larger amount of game knowledge, perhaps helping him out with knowledge of the ring route here, but missing those ones.
Yeah.
Damage.
Does go for a boost here. Oh, is he going to take the rat? No. In this scenario,
Interesting.
I probably would. But not all is lost. Definitely. Hopefully get a boost here? No. But there's a downhill here. So.
Well, the thing about Route 101 as a stage is that, as I say, there's not a huge amount that can go wrong, but it's obviously a place where, you need to have that knowledge, you need to know what your route is going to be, and you need to be able to execute it well as well, because it's not easy to control this car, and you can very quickly speed past the items, namely the rings and the balloons that you need to collect to keep that speed up. As we see both runners not necessarily pulling out the optimal routing or execution, but just gradually cruising their way towards the end. I'm hoping that we don't see any melon skips.
Yeah, that would not be ideal. Not be ideal. Wouldn't be ideal.
No backwards driving from either runner. We've seen a few people break that trick out as well. So there's a few fun things you can do in Route 101, but Vector spins out there. That'll lose him a little bit of time. Maybe
Vector
once we see the
out.
end times here, could give Dwarf an opportunity to extend that lead. But go ahead there, sorry, Milters.
That's okay, because we know that Vector is about 6 seconds ahead because of the lap 2 timers. It's just like what you said. We're gonna see what the final time is. 2:28. Definitely not a 2:30 time, but Dwarf definitely getting the boost here. And we'll be staring very clear of the cars. Well,
takes a
not
hit
that one.
on that car, but the boost will probably carry him through. Should have enough
definitely
speed.
gonna be slightly behind here. Dwarf.
So for Dwarf,
yeah.
For Dwarf to be in the lead into Desert this far into the run, really, really, really exciting stuff.
I would not be surprised at all if he was on PB pace for sure. So we need to get that checked.
Definitely is.
But yeah,
doesn't look like he's going to be going for our usual pole hops or GC skips. Instead, looking likely he's going to line himself up for axle jump, the safer of the free strats here. This could be an opportunity for Vector, perhaps, to make a bit of a comeback. But in fact, I bite my tongue because Dwarf did not go for axle jump there. Instead, taking the regular route here and simply making his way through the stage regularly. Looking like Vector's on good pace here to attempt a pole hop potentially. No, he won't do that.
Yeah, Vector.
Go ahead.
Definitely going for axle jump here. Yep, and gets it just fine. Doesn't get shot.
Yep.
And yeah, gonna save a lot of time here.
A little bit of time saved there. Interesting, as we see, that's probably that difference we were talking about earlier, where we don't necessarily see things that higher ranked runners may go for, such as pole hop or GC skip. We see these other things that runners will do to get themselves on their best possible pace. Perhaps going for a bit more consistency rather than simply going for what is considered the fastest thing to do. If it's not within their skill set, then by all means, take the safer option. And I enjoy seeing that.
Exactly, that is the name of the game here, especially in a tournament. Definitely getting about a 130 last check there. You can just see
that's execution on Vector's end too.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're seeing, like that's about a 15 or so second time. Oh, hopefully not dying here. Okay, good. Dwarf basically
struggling with this
clear.
pause over there. But yeah, it's looking like Dwarf is going to cruise through to the end of Hidden Base now. Vector hot on his tail though, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him narrow that gap once more in this first stage of the desert section. So it's going to be interesting. I'm very excited to see how Death Chamber pans out of all stages, because that knowledge really, really does make a difference in that stage.
It's almost like a yin and yang at this point, right? Vector having like the veteran, but the knowledge of the Sonic and Tails stages, while Dwarf is having a much better time, like night and day time in Knuckles. And
we see just how much that does turn it around, because Vector retakes the lead with just Hidden Base there. So that just goes to show, of course, having Knuckles knowledge is massively important in a hero setting, but it's also, very important to not skip out on your Tails and Sonic execution, because it makes all the difference just as much,
Gotta find a balance here. Let's see. Going for the doesn't get the hourglass skip, I guess.
Something along those lines. It doesn't really have a name, but instead opting to, I'm not sure if he meant to do that, but he looked like he locked onto the jungle bars there. Now trying to line up the spin dash hover, as we see Vector catches up, and we're in a little bit of sync here. Hello.
We're a bit of sync.
Just about. Vector with a big lead in terms of Variant 1, and now I think for one of the first times in the race, catching up and overtaking in terms of RTA, so a big moment there. But yeah, still staying just about in touching distance is Dwarf. So we need to see him get this super bounce here.
Now,
struggling
Vector,
a bit.
Yeah, Vector gets the rail a bit late there. It costs him a bit of time, but not as much time as Dwarf here. Does that enough time? No.
Yeah, we're seeing Dwarf struggle here, and instead he's going to call it a day and just place that skull into that slot. Understandable. You don't want to spend too much time smashing your head against that brick wall.
Yeah, so, I know that. Vector having a bit of trouble doing that first. So maybe if Dwarf gets this pretty cleanly, but gets grabbed by the ghost.
Yeah, unfortunately, not taking the route, which if you opt to rub yourself up against that right wall. Oh, well, that would be a huge amount of damage there, but
Dwarf.
A death for Vector.
Dwarf doesn't have nearly as much trouble getting through that, so we'll be saving a bit of time because of that death.
Just very slightly. Vector dying just after getting a checkpoint, so it won't be quite as damaging as it may seem. But I'm very interested to see here. Dwarf will opt to go for the lower route here. Not going to go and line himself up for Snake, or, in the much more unlikely set of circumstances, Hex Skip. But yeah, we're seeing Vector just cruise through here now. As we were saying earlier, that knowledge and that just execution and experience in these Sonic and Tails stages is really what's helping Vector out as this run progresses, getting him back into it.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how, like we've seen, I think it was last night, like a 6 or 8 minute death chamber. I don't remember.
I can't recall which runner got that.
Yeah, I don't know. But
a close friend of mine. He knows who he is. But here we go. Speaking of Death Chamber, this could be a difference maker again for Dwarf.
Yeah, if I'm Vector, I'm just playing cool here.
Pause buffering to check the pieces there. That'll cost him a little bit of Variant 1 time, but gets Water Bug. A nice piece 1, and he's got a lot of lives in the tank, so he can just make his way over to that now.
Yeah, just don't go for Stink Bug, whatever you do. but going to the right spot. I didn't see Angel's Ring. Looking at
no free pieces there. Looks like it'll be junk storage. Dwarf not wanting to take that.
Okay, Snake's looking at each other.
And roasted keys as well for Dwarf.
We're looking good. We're looking good.
Stuff.
Meanwhile, going for the death strat. This is where it really matters.
Yeah, we'll see now. Will RNG be favorable to Vector as he tries to manipulate it in his favor? Gets that ping, which will be a yellow piece. Nape of the neck. He'll take that.
Nape of the neck. Very, very good. All right, so not a lot that can go wrong for
two Eggmans, which will be... He's opting to go this way rather than where he'll need to. Perhaps confusing that with, I think, 2 guys facing each other as the piece.
He may have been going for red box slip. I don't know, but can be a couple things. All right, but this can be huge.
One piece there, Dwarf.
because yeah. All right, now can we get a crazy? All right, this is gonna be huge. Can Dwarf get the green door clip here?
That's exactly what it'll need. So it looks like RNG in Death Chamber has been preferable for Vector. He's made it work. It gets through that door, but not quite in the direction that he wanted to go. So
Yeah.
Vector, for the first time, I think, in a Knuckle stage, unless I'm forgetting Wild Canyon, is going to take the advantage here.
Yeah. And funny enough, getting a similar quote unquote IGD time. Vector getting death, but coming up to this boss here.
Yeah, let's keep this in mind though. That gap still isn't huge. You know, it's only around about somewhere in that 40 to 50 second range. So, Dwarf's still in this.
Yeah, because I always like to say, I mean, if you know how to super bounce, you know how to super bounce. If you go out in a fire of glory, you can try for the super bounces, but
you're thinking we may see some in Egg Golem then.
If push comes to shove and you need the time save, if that's what Dwarf's thinking, that's what we could see. But first, before any of that,
certainly be something to see.
We gotta see KBB here. Hopefully,
yeah, Vector landing the first two hits nicely.
Yeah,
I think he should just get through this very comfortably.
Yeah, Vector's not gonna have anything to worry about. Dwarf, let's see here.
That's one hit. Obviously, this is such a crushing time loss. If you do mess it up, you can lose pretty much as much time as you've put into this first cycle, because the optimal thing to do would be to take a reset. But solid stuff, no problems there for Dwarf. Both runners getting out of Golem. Looks like Dwarf's kind of happy with himself here.
Yeah. So Vector not attempting any bounces. All right, now he's bouncing, but we're gonna see if they get any. Not the pauses, anything but that. All right, so we're seeing a pretty similar route.
Yeah, looks like Dwarf will also go for these back climb routes instead of going for either of the bounces, whether they be Prophet or Super. It's going to be a pretty routine Egg Golem here.
Yep, getting pretty good.
Ooh,
oh no,
getting shaken there.
Okay, Vector. This is just about wrapped up, and that was
solid
a nice
stuff here. Yeah,
that was a nice setup.
Doesn't get the arm jump, but now instead we'll just climb up and deal his final hits. So yeah, as you were saying, pretty similarly executed golems here. We'll just see. Land this hit. Very, very close there, cutting it narrowly.
No,
he's flung himself up, and as a result of not charging that spin dash, he's going to have to wait for Golem to smash his head down. That could work out in his favor, though, actually. You may be right.
Yeah, best possible scenario.
And now here we go. This could be a key moment. We load into the final stretch of the race, which is going to be these space stages. Pretty much every single split having something that you need to execute correctly, be it a big skip or just general good movement. You got to hope for the best for both of these runners as we load into Eternal Engine. We'll see, will they go for Bofa? Vector not getting out at the first time of asking, but he will opt to line up right side here, something we don't see every runner do.
Side. Oh, it's exciting. Oh man,
doesn't work out. Going to be interesting to see if he keeps that up for his next attempts as we see Dwarf load in now. Could be crucial here. Whoever gets out of bounds here first may just take the lead. I know Dwarf has had some troubles with this skip though. Yeah, he doesn't really like to go unless he's certain. Vector getting out nicely on that second try. And Dwarf
that was a good attempt.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is his first try. So there was always an opportunity that just wasn't going to work. First try Bofa is highly inconsistent.
Exactly.
And now we'll see him try and line up again.
All right. Yeah, that was a bit off, but
Vector here with a great opportunity to extend his lead. You know, this is just the difference maker, and this is what I was saying about those endgame stages for Dwarf. They can seem to make a little bit of trouble for him, specifically with getting these skips, you know. But, felt confident in that one. Just didn't quite pay off.
Good. Now we've seen runners, and I mean, Vector has died in crucial places before.
Of course, yeah. Maybe don't say it out loud. Could be a commentator's curse, but we all know what you're referring to.
Okay,
here we go.
Lining up top the thing here?
I don't know. I think he's a little bit
Down.
right, actually.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. You're good. He's
No,
absolutely.
he's okay. He's perfectly fine. And Vector makes his way out of Eternal Engine just fine. Dwarf still here. And this is the thing with this trick. It's all about the approach. And it's all about just making sure you keep that angle that you need to line up. We see a lot of runners opt to use the laser pointer to get themselves into place. That would have been good from my eyes if Dwarf was able to break the boxes there. And again, we're just seeing where the difference is probably going to be made here for these two runners. Dwarf with just that little bit less experience and that little bit less practice at these major skips. And now we see Vector load into Meteor Hood.
All right, pretty good piece. Pretty good piece, I want to say. Didn't see a free piece. Well, Vector doesn't check for that free piece.
Dwarf's still struggling.
Vector.
Fast rotating meteorite is not up here. And,
no,
well...
Advanced free piece checks. This is the...
Here we see...
Cryptic check 2. Goes for the wrong meteor, unfortunately. I mean,
interesting. I'm not sure if Stolen Cryptic would do this, to be honest. But, I'll run it by him, see what he thinks of the strategy. As we see, that's big for Vector. He doesn't grab that piece despite breaking the meteorite. And,
I mean, this could make a difference on the last
for Vector
life.
Once again.
He's on the last life. Got a glide extend into that one. That's the best way to do this. But, opt in, go down. I don't blame him at all.
Just looking for that hit monitor, I believe, which is going to be floating stone now. The Meteor Hood of nightmares for Vector.
Meanwhile, Dwarf getting Bofa, but this is on the last life. If you're a Dwarf, you've got to be sweating right now. You've got to get into the out of bounds here.
Yeah, big moment for Dwarf. He lines up the camera decently enough. I don't know if it's going to be quite enough to catch up to Vector here. He still has it all to do. But this Meteor Hood split is probably going to be one which I would be very surprised if Dwarf didn't take. As Vector now gets try watching the stars.
Digging straight down. Alright, that's... Again, having a bit of trouble finding this one. That's Lonely Star.
Looks like he's managed to find it now, getting that yellow ping. Going to pop himself into place. And Vector should make it out of here fairly comfortably. Struggling to find out where he needs to dig, though. He's a bit unsure. That should be alright.
That meteor looking for blood. Okay. Don't blame Dwarf at all.
Flipped back in bounds.
Yep. This is the safest play.
Very much the safest strat, rather than opting to go for the fall straight into that goal ring. So I can't blame Dwarf for that at all. Gets out. 28:39 on the clock. Almost a minute difference now. And a stage at that as Vector loads into the Rouge fight. Looking like that Eternal Engine stage is probably going to be the big difference maker towards the end of this run. But, obviously, I don't want to call anything just yet, but before we even do get that far, I've just got to give massive props to Dwarf, because he is definitely on PB pace here, and I think this Meteor Hood will only go well for him.
Yeah, but Vector having a bit of trouble in Rouge, but
should get over the line.
Okay,
in the floating containers, piece 1 for Dwarf, a nice piece to take in that middle area. So determining whether you'll go up or down.
Okay,
doesn't get the free piece. Opts to check for it though.
Respectable. Gotta watch out. Okay, gotta ring.
Ooh, Artificial Chaos coming back for blood there.
Right.
And that'll be a lower piece too.
Yeah.
As we see Vector load into Crazy Gadget. I am not quite recalling how Dwarf approaches Crazy Gadget for when he gets there, as it's Jump from the Star piece 2. Could have potentially seen the real cryptic checks in action here, as there's a few pieces in that middle area you do check for if you so desire. Cryptic, and this is one of them, Jump from the Star.
But I mean, it's the far one at the very least. Now, setting up for CGSS here,
going to be interesting.
Or that's
to just manipulate the camera to go into his favor.
Never seen that before, but gets out of bounds cleanly.
Out of bounds nicely, yeah. A lot of distance on this. He should be plenty all right to just make his way into that goal ring.
I wonder if that's
good stuff from Vector.
Looks like the frog method. I don't actually know. I'm not going to say that, but
didn't actually even have to bounce there. So a low percent friendly CGSS from what I can tell.
Man, that is so cool. Love low percent. Who needs
Very
frame
something.
dash?
Very,
Dark
very
sword.
rarely that you see something like that. But here we go. So we see Dwarf loading into the Rouge fight now. As I was
Okay, getting
saying,
a ring.
I'm not quite sure how Dwarf approaches Crazy Gadget. I'm unsure if he goes for CGSS or CGS at all. I think he instead will opt to just take it skipless. But that should still keep him on a solid pace for a PB.
I believe so too. Now Vector actually looking okay.
Oh, nearly taking the death there in Eggman 2. Still might yet, as he needs to land these hits. Eggman is not playing around here, narrowly dodging all of these attempts to take him out.
Yeah, but
And Vector will just try and line up that final hit. Gets through, no problems.
Looks like they got a time here. Yeah, unless. Oh, and also same deal. Dwarf does not have a lot of lives, so on PP pace, but
It's all going to come down to that. Vector looking comfortable to take this win now, provided Final Rush and Shadow 2 both go well. So he will be signing off the tournament, assuming things stay this way, with a victory on his record. Good for him. But, as I say, not over yet. This is interesting. Dwarf, rather, I should say, looking like he's going to go for CGS of all things.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure if this is something he's done already in this tournament, but this is something we love to see.
Okay, got the shield.
Ooh, he's in trouble there. That's not what we like to see. Very unfortunate for Dwarf. But I was not expecting him to try and pull out CGS. That's something that's really interesting.
We call character development right there. I would love to see it.
Yeah, this is a great thing about these new runners. Throughout just the course of this tournament alone, this 1 week of pools, we've seen so much improvement from them.
Yeah. Now, a little bit of an asterisk here. Dwarf not getting the checkpoint, and also Vector missing Final Rush skip. So
it's impossible for Dwarf to still snatch this, but Vector needs to have a calamitous mistake or two along the way to finishing. And if he can pull off this Final Rush skip here with enough height, I should be fairly confident that he's going to be able to pull this off. But Dwarf down to his last life there.
Is down to his last life, and
tough times in Crazy Gadget for Dawarfmaster. That's going to send him all the way back to the beginning of the stage. Vector using that that pulse hover there to give himself that extra bit of height.
Looking a bit low. I'm a bit worried. May have to bounce here.
It's quite tight. I think he should be okay. He gets that extra bit of distance. I think he's going to be alright.
Yeah. Totally fine.
Yeah, gets himself into Shadow 2 now. Should be very clean for the victory.
Very much in the home stretch here.
Very much so. And I think as Vector concludes, obviously congratulations to him if he manages to get over the finish line. But I think everybody's eyes will avert to Dwarf in hopes that we can see him keep up the pace and hopefully get a PB for himself. If he can manage to pull off CGS nicely here, getting himself back into position. We'll just cross over to Vector now, as we'll see him take on Shadow 2. Last split of the run. Hopefully this goes well for him. Dwarf then taking another death from CGS to the Artificial Chaos, yeah.
You don't want to see that, but luckily we've got lives, we've got,
Okay, and Dwarf is calling it a day. He's not going to go for CGS any longer. He's decided that it's not worth it. We're seeing Vector here with 1 hit remaining on Shadow 2. Okay. Not opting to go for the bounce.
Alright, gotta be careful.
Well, Dwarf just needs about 3 more minutes of this, and he should be alright. But I think Vector should just about get over the line here. Or not, taking his time in this split.
Okay.
There it is.
Vector
comes out with a 32-02. GG's to him for his victory in this tournament. It's been great watching everybody involved. Thoughts on Vector's race? Obviously, you were saying before you two go a fair bit back, so how are you feeling about his performance there?
I mean, you could see it. Definitely a bit of sort of like going into the brain and saying, "Where is this? Yeah, like where is this piece again?" Yeah. Like you could see that, but very solid performance, all things considered. Stuff like like Mission Street, very very solid, and definitely given a lot of practice and just repeated things in that repeated exposure. Basically, definitely can see
Yeah,
a
absolutely.
very bright future ahead for Vector and his runs moving forward.
Yeah, I think so. You know, obviously it all comes down to, you know, not just wanting to compete in this tournament and other events like it. You put the time in and you'll get those rewards. Which yeah, we've seen a strong performance here from Vector. Obviously, as you were saying, with a little bit of rust on him, specifically in those knuckle stages, I think we were seeing with a little bit of piece knowledge, just not coming back to him when he needed it. But yeah, taking the win, which is always nice to have in a tournament setting. He'll have that little number one next to his name in his record here.
Just made it.
And I mean, sometimes, yeah. Oh, sometimes that's all you want.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just going into the final stretch here, got over the hurdle of CG. So yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to have seen that time loss. You know, obviously attempting to go for CGS, which does save a big chunk of time as opposed to doing it normally. But I can respect these Dwarf's rather decision to just call it a day and make his way through the stage normally. And as long as he can pull off these next 3 splits with little to no problems, namely getting off FR skip first try, but takes a death in Eggman 2, that could be trouble.
Not going to be beneficial.
No, it's going to be tight now if he is going to make this PB. Needs this this next try death for Eggman 2. Needs to get through this with no problems. Gets, I think, 1.5 hits there. The second hit was close quarters, so that won't do as much damage.
Yeah, he's sort of in a corner.
Yeah, he's kind of just putting himself up against Eggman, staying very, very close to him and taking a hit there. They want to get out. That's another death. And unfortunately, I'm starting to fear the worst for Dwarf's PB here. It's a real shame because he's really, really shown himself very well. He did a lot of great stuff in those early stages and the knuckle stages as well, showing great knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, having the lead going into Desert, not a trifle, especially for someone like Vector as an opponent. We've seen that time and time again.
Oh, another death there for Dwarf. Really unfortunate for him in that fight. And we're seeing just those things that, as a newer runner, as an inexperienced player of Hero Story, we're seeing just those things which we will see Dwarf iron out over the course of his playing of the game, and we'll see just how much better he is going to get at these smaller time saves. Easy mistakes to make early on, but the more he plays, the more he puts in, I'm sure we're going to see him go pretty far.
For sure, definitely, because definitely when you're a newer runner, you sort of look at Speedrun and say, okay, I'll just copy that, but I don't know like the intricacies or like how things work. Let me just copy it. Like those shots from Eggman. I don't know if they do the most damage or not, but yeah, going into Final Rush here. Let's hope for the best for Dwarf.
Yeah, we've seen him struggle a couple of times in this final split now, just trying to land that skip. I can't recall if he opts to go for bounceless or bounce variant with Final Rush skip, but taking the relatively normal method of the rails here towards that Final Rush skip, probably wanting to get himself the checkpoint just to get a few backup tries at the skip if something goes wrong.
Yeah. All right. And
there we go. Something went wrong.
And there's a reset. We only got 1 life on deck here.
Yeah, so this is likely, well, certainly not going to be a PB for Dwarf, but hats off to him because he has put on a good show. And it's worth remembering just how little experience Dwarf has as a runner of Hero Story specifically. So great to see him improving. And I wish him nothing but the best as he continues to play, I hope.
I have nothing but good words for Dwarf. Speaking from experience as a non-hero runner, it takes a lot of discipline and courage to show yourself on a stage like this. And
absolutely.
Huge props,
Completely correct. Absolutely anybody who's offered to, who's put themselves on this stage and opted to come in here and put on a show. Unfortunately, Dwarf there taking a kill plane death, going a little bit too early. But yeah, anybody who's opted to compete or just get involved with speedrunning the game recently, we're all rooting for you. Absolutely, none of us out here, thinking any lesser of you if you've got a slightly lower time or even a majorly lower time than your opponent or anybody else whatsoever. We all just want to see everybody succeed, really. So, by all means, if you're feeling like you're liking what you're seeing, looking like you're seeing some of these skips and thinking that they all look pretty fun to pull off, but not knowing where to get started, just hop on by the SA2 Discord, and you'll meet a great community of players all willing to help out. As we see Dwarf, go on.
Always happy to help out, and regardless what you were saying before, Dwarf looking pretty good here. I want to say, yeah, this should be totally fine.
Should be plenty of height here.
But
go slightly right there.
Yeah, you gotta go straight for the goal ring. I think Dwarf realized that. Probably unbalanced around this time. Okay, good. Plenty.
No, it should be okay. Plenty of height on that one. And that'll carry him into Shadow too.
Yep, going for the very last hits on Shadow 2 here. And we should be wrapping this up pretty shortly as we got a pretty hype match coming up as well.
But yeah, very, very exciting matches coming up from
I am
Group
very
C.
excited. Very excited for the next match between Tommy and I believe Frog. That's going to be
Tommy easy.
Crazy.
A Knuckles master. And not too bad at Hero Story either. And Epic Frog Skater back on the scene lately. We all know just how good he is. Showed it with that victory against Kuruk in his first match. So yeah, very, very excited to see that race. Yeah. And the one after it isn't too bad either. Traitor versus Frog.
There are going to be sparks flying, and there we go. Give it up for Dwarf, everybody. Very
absolutely
good time.
Huge GGs to Dawarfmaster there. Great show, great performance from both runners here today, and in the tournament in general. Unfortunately, that will be the last we'll be seeing of these two in the 2021 Hero Story tournament, as both runners will exit out in pools. But absolute pleasure watching their races and seeing them compete. Going to be great to see just how things continue to play out, both in and out of the tournament now. But yeah, I think we're probably wanting a pretty quick turnaround, so I'll just ask you quickly, Melters, what were your thoughts here today?
Definitely a great showing for both runners. Again, like I said before, lots of perseverance being shown on both ends, and I wish all of these runners the best.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been great time on commentary here with you, my friend.
Yeah.
Very, very fun. Great watch as always in this tournament. Plenty more to come as of yet. But yeah, no, fantastic stuff here today. We'll be signing off quickly to get you swiftly onto your next round of entertainment. Look forward to Tommy Easy versus Epic Frog Skater. And you'll see our good friends Cryptic and Use on commentary for that one. Can't wait to see how that plays out.
Yep, yeah, you do not want to miss that one. So stay right in your seats.
Absolutely. Don't go anywhere, folks. The Hero Story Tournament rolls on. We'll see you all soon. Take care.
See you all soon. Take care.